Very next day after the party, I ran over to the Matthews house to apologize. I would do anything if it meant Garrett would forgive me. But of course, I forgot that someone else was mad at me too. Mrs. Matthews opened the door, and when she saw me, she started crying. "Why would you do this to us?" she sobbed dramatically. I closed the door behind me and hugged her. Gosh, I felt so bad. I could feel the heaviness of the guilt. "I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I thought it was Garrett behind me. It was all a huge misunderstanding. You have to believe me," I cried. Mrs. Matthews hugged me back and said she knew me and that she knew I would never hurt her son on purpose. She wiped the tears off my face and told me to go upstairs, that he was in his room. "I'm sorry," I said. "I made a mistake." He said, "I know, I heard you calling my name, but it still hurt." I started telling him that I would never hurt him on purpose because I loved him. As soon as I said that, his eyes lit up. "You do?" he asked, and I nodded. He said he loved me too, and peace was restored between us. A couple months passed. Garrett and my parents were meeting for the first time soon. I was at his house taking a nap in his room when he and his mom started whispering something. It woke me up, but I pretended I was still asleep. "It's beautiful, Mom. She's gonna love it," I heard Garrett say. "Just make sure you're both ready. It's a huge commitment," said Mrs. Matthews. I then heard the distinct sound of a ring box closing. Was Garrett going to propose to me soon? "Now wake her up and let's go meet the monster mother who doesn't deserve her as a daughter." Oh no, I forgot about that. My sweet-as sugarcane mom was going to be so confused when she met Mrs. Matthews. You can probably imagine how shaky my hands were when entering the restaurant where Garrett's and my parents were meeting. I saw my mom and dad sitting at the table, and my mom waved at me and smiled brightly. "If she thinks she can fool me with that act," Mrs. Matthews mumbled under her breath. When we sat down to eat, I was visibly shaking. My mom put her hand on my forehead, asking if I had a fever. Mrs. Matthews slammed her cutlery on the table and said, "Don't you touch her," through gritted teeth. My mom's eyes grew wide, and I could tell she was about to snap at Mrs. Matthews, so I pulled both of them to the bathroom and explained what happened. I could tell Mrs. Matthews felt betrayed, but my mom suddenly hugged her. "Thank you for caring for my daughter," said my mom. I could almost see Mrs. Matthews' heart melt. My mom could do that to anyone. Mrs. Matthews pulled me into the hug, and all the lies I had told dissipated.